It's the regular season finale of Hicks. 5-minute picks, and we are just having an abysmal end to this regular season. 1-4 last week. We're sitting there 33-33 in the season. But hey, rivalry week is here. Let's go have a perfect week. Let's start in the Palmetto State, South Carolina at Clemson. Tigers at home, 2.5-point favorites. This game to me is going to be about the defensive lines for both teams. Clemson's defensive line, you got a great matchup going against South Carolina's offensive line that is 127th in the country in terms of tackles for loss allowed. On the flip side, though, the Gamecocks' defensive line is really strong, led by Kyle Kennard. He's tremendous. I think they'll push around Clemson's offensive line. So I think both D-lines will dictate this game and have a lot of success. What this game ultimately is determined by is the fact that I like South Carolina's battle-testedness compared to Clemson. Every game Carolina's played in for the most part outside of Ole Miss, they've either been competitive in or won. Where you look at Clemson, they've only played 3 Power 4 bowl-eligible teams this year, and their record in those 3 games, 1-2. So I think right now, Clemson has been able to show you they can beat the little guys, right? In college football, they struggle, though, when they face guys their size and bigger. South Carolina is the second best team they've played so far this season. Give me cocky on the road, 27-24. They pull off the upset in the other, Death Valley. Let's go out west. Notre Dame, 7.5-point favorites on the road at USC. This game's going to be close because that's all the Trojans do. 8 of their 10 games USC has played this year against Power 4 opponents, they've been decided by 1 score. One of the keys in this game is you're going to look, Notre Dame has the best pass secondary in all the country. It is a little bit fraudulent, though, because they've not played a ton of passing attacks. They've played Army, they played Navy recently as well. They're not getting tested. The last test they really had was Louisville. That was back in September. And Tyler Shuck, their quarterback, actually had a pretty good game and had a lot of success passing the ball. So when you look at USC's passing offense, led now by Jaden Mayava, I think he's going to have success. USC's got a ton of playmakers. Kyron Hudson's a walking highlight machine when he actually has the ball in his hand. So I think USC can put up a fight. I think they can have success through the air against this number 1 pass defense. In the end, though, I think Notre Dame on the ground takes care of business. They control the tempo. They roll out of LA. 27-20, they win. And they do now guarantee themselves hosting a first-round playoff game. Let's go to the ACC. Miami holding on for their playoff lives here. 10.5-point favorites on the road at Syracuse. A stat prediction before I give you a game prediction here. Stat prediction. This game is going to feature over 650 combined passing yards this season because you're looking at 2 out of the 3 best passing offenses in all of the country. Where this game, though, is decided, and in Miami's favor, Miami wins this game, is in part because this game will be played on their terms. Miami is a great team when they play like-minded teams. Right? When they play teams that want to throw the ball through the air, that are relatively soft, that are not tough up front, that don't want to run the ball down their throat, Miami wins all those games. Look at Miami's season this year. They've struggled the most, and the only game they lost was when the other team was able to run the ball consistently, control the time of possession, control the clock, and make the game script on their terms. Syracuse won't be able to do that. Syracuse is 127th in the country right now when it comes to rushing yards per game. So right now, Syracuse is going to try to beat Miami at their own game. That's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Ain't going to work. Not in this game. I think it's close. I think Syracuse does cover at home. Give me, though, Miami 38-35. They do win this game and go to the ACC title game. Let's go to the Iron Bowl. Auburn at Alabama tied, 11.5-point favorites. This is Auburn's Super Bowl, right? They're going to do everything they possibly can to truly ruin Kalen DeBoer's first season. I actually think that works against them in this game. What's Auburn's biggest bugaboo this season? Turnovers, right? In the 7 SEC games they played this year, they have won the turnover battle 1 time. That's it. So I think they're going to do too much in this game. It's going to force mistakes. It's going to force turnovers. Alabama's going to be the beneficiary. I think Bama wins, and they also cover the 11.5-point spread. Give me the Tide at home, 31-17. DeBoer salvages somewhat of what has been an otherwise shaky season. Another big rivalry game, the game. Michigan at Ohio State Buckeyes, 20.5-point favorites in this one. Woof. There's no area where Michigan actually matches up against Ohio State this year. In previous years, they could run the ball down the Buckeyes' throat defensively. Not the case this year because Ohio State's defense is actually really damn good. They're tough and physical, which they were not in previous years. So you don't really have any sort of avenue for success here for Michigan. And not to mention, Will Howard doesn't get the amount of credit he deserves, but he's a big game quarterback. Look at the 3 top 5 matchups Ohio State has played this year. He's completed 78% of his passes for 709 yards, 8 total touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Buckeyes average 30 points per game in those 3 top 5 matchups. He's been really good. Doesn't get the credit for it, though. With that said, again, Ohio State wins, I think, pretty easily. The only question I have is Ryan Day mentally broken enough to where he can't get over the Michigan hump? I don't think so. I think Ohio State tries to run the score up late in this game. Give me Ohio State ugly, late, 41-17. And finally, the big rivalry, my favorite game of the weekend, the Lone Star Showdown. Texas, 5.5-point favorites as they visit A&M for the first time since 2011. That place, Kyle Field, is going to be charged up. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. I think it will help the Aggies early. Where this game, though, is decided late, the passing attack of Texas. Quinn Ewers, I think, is going to slice and dice this A&M secondary, and the Longhorns have just too many playmakers on the outside to slow down. So I think A&M will get a boost in their crowd. I think Marcel Ruud will have a good game and keep A&M in it. I think they cover the spread. But I think when it's all said and done, Texas leaves Kyle Field winners 31-27. They assure themselves a spot in the SEC title game and ruin any hope of A&M going to the playoff. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the games.